Series, guys, and it's called Joseph the Underdog. And our passage is in Genesis 37, 26 through 27. And it says, Judah said to his brothers, What would we gain if we kill our brother and cover his blood? Come, let's sell him to the Israelites. Try that again. And not lay our hands on him. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood. And his brothers agreed. And you guys think you have family problems. Poor Joseph. He had more family problems than any of us can think of. You know, there are times in our lives where things are just so dark. Things are so miserable, you don't know how we're going to cope with it. You know, we have things that we just don't understand, and we don't cope it. And here's Joseph. His brothers, his good brothers, his wonderful brothers, his brothers that loved him so much, was plotting to kill him. But instead, no, they didn't kill him. They sold him for a profit to a bunch of basically wandering band of people and sold him to Egypt. And we think we have problems. You know, Joseph was an underdog, as you can tell. He wasn't liked very much by his brothers, as you can tell. You know, his dad liked him, but his brothers hated him. His brothers sold him. You know, Joseph the Underdog kind of reminds me of that movie, Rocky. Have you ever remember the very first one? Some people don't remember that because they're probably really young. But you know, the first Rocky movie, when he was going to go up against the champion of the world, you know, Apollo Creed, everybody called Rocky the underdog. He was the guy that was not going to do it. He was the guy that wasn't going to make it. You know, Joseph was the same thing. He was the underdog. He's the one that the brothers said, not going to do it. We hated him. We were going to kill him. Instead, they sold him, which is a lot better than being killed, I guess. But, you know. But Joseph is the underdog. You know, his brothers were so jealous of him. His brothers didn't like him. You know, luckily I had a brother. He never disliked me that much. He didn't want to never kill me, except one time. You know, but he didn't want to kill me too often. You know, all families have disagreements. Joseph had a family that wanted to kill him. But see, God, in his mercy, said, well, let's just sell him. So put it in their brains, let's sell Joseph and start killing him. Now we don't have to explain to Dad. His blood is not on his hand. We just tell him, oh, some animal gathered. We don't have to worry about covering up a grave, or somebody might find him someplace along the line. There's a lot of stuff they had to think about. They just sold him, get rid of him. He's good. Well, they sold him. A man named Potiphar, who was a rich man, bought him, let him come to work in his house. And Joseph did pretty good. Things started looking up for Joseph, because now he's working in a rich man's house. He's doing good. Matter of fact, Potiphar made him head of his household. He said, you're in charge of my house, which made it a lot easier for him. Now he's in charge instead of having to do all the heavy work. He's in charge, right? Things are looking up for Joseph. Until Potiphar's wife decided, oh, I have an eye for him. I like him. He looks good looking. He's a young, good looking guy. You know, I want to sleep with me. But Joseph had the integrity of God, said, no, I'm not going to do that to my master, your husband, or my God. And she's tried several times. And he turned her down several times. And for his integrity, He ended up in prison. Sounds good, don't it? Let's have integrity. Let's stand up for what we believe in. And ends he in prison. But God has a plan, and he'll figure it out towards the end. So unfortunately, Joseph ends up in prison. And Joseph ends up in prison for several years. But he finds favor with the warden. So his job was a little easier. When you find favor with the guy in charge, you get the light duty. You don't have to break your back. You get the light duty. So he finds favor with the warden. And in this period of time, why he finds reasons, one of the reasons he finds favor with the warden is because he interpreted a dream that the warden had. And that was kind of his gift that God gave him, interpreting dreams. So when he interpreted these dreams, he found favor. Well, the cupbearer of the Pharaoh did something wrong. And what he did something wrong, he ended up in prison. The cupbearer of the Pharaoh had this dream that was bugging him. So Joseph interpreted it for him. And of course, the cupbearer says, hey, when I get out of here, I'm going to go talk to Pharaoh. I'm going to get you out of here. And that lasted about as far as I'm saying it, because once he got out, he forgot all about Joseph. So they start looking down on Joseph again. For a couple more years, he was still in prison. Until the Pharaoh had a dream that nobody could interpret. The cupbearer remembered Joseph and told Pharaoh, hey, there's a man in prison. He can interpret your dream. So the Pharaoh asked Joseph to come. He got him out of prison. He interpreted the Pharaoh's dream for him. And guess what? Pharaoh was so impressed with him, he put him in charge of everything. He made him second in command. He had to answer to no one except for the Pharaoh himself. Through all this time, where was God? God was there. God was really there. Think about this. His brothers could have killed Joseph in the desert. Nobody would have known. The same lie would have been told. Oh, some animal tore him up, killed him. The same thing could have happened, but no. He said, God has a plan. We just have to work it out. So instead of killing him, he was sold. He was sold to Potiphar. Things was looking good. He went to prison. But you know what? God was there in prison with him because he made him have the connections he needed. In other words, he found favor with the warden. He interpreted a dream for the cupbearer. The cupbearer remembered to Pharaoh. Pharaoh brought him out of prison and made him in charge of everything. Because part of Pharaoh's dream was that there was going to be a famine in the land. And there was going to be starvation. There was going to be nothing grown. Wheat wasn't going to be grown. The waters was going to start drying. Animals was going to die for 7 years. And part of the reason God put Joseph where he put him at was to save the Israelites and his family from starvation. Think about this, guys. Think about this. Even in your darkest times, when you can't see the light, God has a plan for us. He really does. You know, we could think there's no light at the end of that tunnel, but God has that plan for us. He knows. He has everything stepped out for us. And we don't see it. We don't think about it. We don't understand it. We just go, I don't believe it. I just don't see it. I don't believe God has a plan for my life. But he does. As I said, Joseph's secret was that he depended on God through everything. We should depend on God for everything. Our circumstances, in the darkest time. Joseph went through some dark times. You know, being sold to slavery is not a very, good thing to do. Being put in prison for something you didn't do because you had integrity and said, no, I'm not going to do it, it's not a very good time. You know, while he was in prison, he didn't have much to eat at times. You know, it was not a very healthy place because they didn't treat their prisoners very well. But God had a plan for him because he needed him in certain spots to do his will at the time he needed it. You know, maybe you have to go to those places you don't like to go. You know, some of us, God's calling us to go overseas and be missionaries. Some of us just say, go talk to that biker down the street. Go talk to that guy in the bar. Go listen to the homeless person on the street. Go see, go be my hands and feet where I tell you to go. But we, you know, oh no, you get the wrong guy, the wrong woman, not me. You know, but see, to Joseph, there he was obedient to God always. And God redeemed him for that. He made him in charge of most everything. He was in charge of everything. And think about this. This is just a little side note. Think of it. An Israelite who Egypt really did not like was second in command of everything. That's pretty good. That's pretty impressive, if you ask me. You know, because the Egyptians did not like Israelites that well. And he was in second command. That's pretty good. Pretty impressive. So if God will do this for you guys, or for Joseph, think what he can do for you guys. Last 4 weeks, we've been going through this little series. We talked about David the first week, right? We talked about how God had to grow David to be king. Remember, David was anointed when he was a teenager. He didn't become king until he was 30. He had a lot of growing to do. God had to mold him to where he needed to be. Paul had to overcome all the things that he did in his past. Remember, Paul had Christians killed. He had them beaten. He had them thrown in jail. Paul had to overcome all that to serve the Lord. Because people remember that. I remember that. You know, everybody remembers what Paul did in the past. But he had to overcome that. Last week we talked about Esther. Esther was willing to lay down her life to save her people. There's a lot of things God asks us to do. What's God calling you to do? You know? We should take our example from these 4 people. We should let God mold us to the person he wants us to be. He should let God let us overcome our past. And with God's help and grace and mercy, he will let us overcome our past. Trust me. Because I've done a lot of things in my past I'm ashamed of. But you know what? God let me overcome it. Or we could be like an Esther. Maybe he's not asking you to lay down your life, but he is asking you to stand boldly for something. What is it? You know, God tells us, listen, or we could be a Joseph. Let me tell you about Joseph. Joseph was a man of integrity. And that's what we're supposed to be as believers, men and women of integrity. You know, Joseph could have said, yeah, I'll sleep with you. And he could have stayed, you know, probably head of the household for many, many, many years. You know, he probably could have grown old in that household. But no, he had integrity. He said no. He was a man of God. He said no. You know, I'm going to talk to believers for a second. When hard times come, we forget about God. We really do. We forget what God tells us. We forget about what we're supposed to do. We kind of try to figure it out on our own. We try to go, I got to figure this out. You know, we are tempted just like anybody else because we're human. You know, some of us in our past may have drinking problems, we may have anger problems, we may not been the first person, maybe we need to overcome a lot of stuff in our path, and when that darkness hits, we want to go back to that, because that's what we're used to, that's what we're familiar with, that's what we are comfortable with. And some of us do. And some of us, and all of us should say, no, let me be a man or woman of integrity. Let God mold me through this hard time, through this darkness, through this time of trouble. This is the time God is molding us. Look, instead of we pray, Father God, get us out of this stuff. No, what we should pray is, God, help me through this. Walk me through this stuff. Because all this trouble that we're going through, all this bad stuff, all this negativity that's hitting us, God is molding us. God is making us the person He wants us to be. So when we come out the other side, we're going to be better for it if we lean on Him. There's a man in the Bible named Job, and the devil told God that he wanted to test Job. And Job lost everything. He was sick. He had boils. He lost his family. He lost his daughters, his sons. He lost his farm. He lost his animals. He lost everything. But he did not lose his integrity or his faith in his God. And that's what we're supposed to do. When we hit that hard time, when that darkness hits, when things come crashing down, I ask, my prayer is for you guys to remember these 4 people: David, Paul, Esther, Joseph. They all was underdogs. They're all just like us. They're just ordinary people doing what God asked them to do. And that's what He's asking each one of us to do. I don't know what troubles you guys have. I don't know what's going through your lives right now. What aches and pains are happening. I don't know all these things. God does. And He said, I'll walk you through them. Lean on me. I'll take you through the fire. Don't do it on yourself. Don't forget about me. And as believers, we do that a lot. And we shouldn't. We should not forget about God in troubled times. That's when we need to really trust Him. But we do. We forget about what God does for us at that time. And how He can help us. And how He can show us His love and His mercy, and His kindness and His grace. And He can show us how we can go through the other side as well. I'm going to talk a little bit to non-believers here for a second as well. Look, maybe you don't believe all this stuff right now. Maybe you're searching for something. Maybe you was here for the 4 weeks, or maybe this is your first week you're listening to us. But be a Joseph. Be a person of integrity. Look, Joseph was in the darkest place of his life. And maybe you are too. Maybe this is the time you need to ask God, help me through the fire. Help me through this time. Help me come through the other side. Get me off the drugs, the alcohol. Get me off of the anger problem. Get me off of the pornography. Get me off of whatever addiction it is that's keeping you down. That anger, that temper, that relationship that is not good for you. Whatever it is, ask God to help you through it at this time. Come to Him. Ask Him into your heart. Ask Him to bring you to the fire. He will do this for you. My friends, I believe God is not a God that's sitting up someplace in the heavens looking down on people going, Randy screwed up really big down this, I ain't helping him. No, He's sitting there, Randy is screwing up. Randy needs help. Randy's going through this troubles right now. Let him know to lean on me. Let him know this is the time that he really needs my love, my kindness, my peace, my grace, my mercy. Remember, Jesus died not just to save some. Jesus died for each and every one of us. Jesus died for everyone who comes to Him and asks. And He says yes. Jesus died for you, me, and for those that we don't know yet. My brothers, my sisters, my friends, those who don't believe, those who do believe. There's stuff in your life right now, ask Him. Ask Him to take it away. I want to close in just a few minutes, but remember, we can be like a Joseph and lean on God through the tough times and ask God to help us, or we can try to do it on our own. And from experience, it doesn't work. Most people will tell you that as a Christian, leaning on yourself is not going to work. You're going to fail almost every time because you need that love, peace, grace, mercy of the Holy Spirit. And God will help us through the dark times. People think Christians are supposed to be perfect people, and when we screw up, they really want to make sure they point it out to us. We're not perfect people. We're human beings. We screw up every day. We mess up every day. We're just like everybody else. The only difference is we have the grace of God. We have the love of God. And so when we mess up, we know we have a loving God that will say, I do forgive you. I'll help you through this. If you're searching for something, maybe you're on that drug, like I said, alcohol, bad relationship, that addiction that's just pulling you down. My brothers, my friends, my sisters, look, this is the time. Don't do it tomorrow, don't do it next week, don't do it next year, because you don't know what's going to happen. Come to Him, ask Him to come into your heart. It's simple. For believers, you guys know, all you got to do is just say, I messed up. Forgive me. Repent is the church word. And just turn your lives around and try not to do it again. We probably will because we're human, but just try not to do it again. And for those who don't know, just ask God into your heart. Just ask Jesus to come in. Just confess your sins to Him. And believe that Jesus died on that cross for you, because He did. And He did it for me. And He did it for everyone here. I want to get ready to close. And before I close, though, if you pray and you make a decision to recommit to God or come to Christ, look, come to our Facebook page. There's phone numbers, places to leave messages. Go to our website. There's a lot of places you can leave a message there as well. There's a lot of places to contact us. Please. We want to help you grow. We don't want to leave you. We don't want to say, okay, you made a decision. Now what do you do? I want you to say, reach out so we can help you. We'll call you. We'll text you. We'll do whatever it takes. We'll send you material if we have to. And if you don't live around the Yuma area, we'll even help you find a place you can call home. A church body that you can grow in. But don't try to do it on your own. And please don't wait another day to make that decision. Father God, thank you so much for this opportunity to be in your house, to speak your words, Father God. I want to be a Joseph. I want to be an Esther. I want to be a Paul and David. I want to be like these poor people. And Father God, when the dark times hit, and Father God, I cannot see the daylight at the end of the tunnel. I want you, Father God, to be there so I can lean on you. My prayer, Father God, is for everyone out there to be able to do the same. When darkness hits, for you to be there for them, so they can lean on you. And that you'll be there through the troubled times. And you'll mold them and grow them. And they'll forget about their past and see their bright future. And Father God, we all become men and women with integrity for you. Thank you, Father God, for the opportunity to be able to speak your words, be in your house, to be able to pray freely, especially on this 4th of July weekend. I just pray these things in your precious name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, well, let's do a few more songs, and then we'll be dismissed.